Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to create a simple donation landing page using the GiveWP donation plugin for WordPress, as well as building out our landing page with the Kadence theme and Kadence blocks. What's going to be awesome about this tutorial is we're going to learn a lot about the GiveWP donation plugin. It's one of the best plugins for collecting donations online. And then we're going to be learning how to integrate that plugin with Kadence, which has a great integration with GiveWP. So if you guys are ready to learn how to create a simple donation landing page using the Kadence theme, Kadence blocks, and GiveWP for our donation management, then let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to be building using the GiveWP donation management plugin and Kadence theme with Kadence blocks. Now, what you're looking at is a custom layout for a cause to save Coco the tiger. Now, this is not a real cause or a live cause or anything like that. This is just for demonstration purposes. And even though this is a custom layout, don't worry. I'll be giving you everything you need to go ahead and replicate this. And I'm going to show you how to build out the entire page yourself. But it's a very simple page. It has a heading, countdown timer, which are all served by Kadence blocks, an image, and a description with some benefit blocks here. This is just built using info blocks. And then if you notice over here on the right hand side, we have the GiveWP form that allows people to go ahead and make the donations. It's in the sidebar and it's sticky. So when you're looking at it on the desktop and you start to scroll past the content on the left, you'll notice that the form actually sticks in place. Now, the other thing about this is served up by GiveWP. So it's a very beautiful layout for a donation form. It's very attractive. We have an image right over here, the amount raised, the number of donations that have been made through this form, the goal, and a goal progress bar. And then it's a multi-step form. And this is just one of the types of forms that are available in GiveWP. And in this tutorial, we're going to go through GiveWP. We're going to look at every single aspect of it. All right. So when you click on donate now, it takes you to the next step in the form where you can select some predetermined amounts or add a custom amount. And then if you go ahead and click to continue, there's a place for you to fill out your information, choose how you want to pay, and then go ahead and make that donation. So we'll actually go through that process ourselves as well. Now, I've also created an alternate version of this donation landing page. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one. So this is one, and then the other one we're going to be building in this tutorial is this one. One thing I'm going to be showing you how to do is if you look at this landing page, we have the unique selling proposition on the left, call to action, and then we have the donation form overlaid over this beautiful image of a tiger. But the information for it is also below here. And you'll notice that as you scroll down, the form is going to break the top of the featured area and remain in place and cross into this other section while you continue to read the information. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create this effect as well. So not only are you going to learn about GiveWP and Kadence blocks, but you're going to be learning some really cool tips and tricks on how to create these sort of nice dynamic landing pages for raising money. Okay, now this is also looks very good on mobile. So if we go ahead and open up our Chrome developer tool here, and we take a look at a mobile version of this, you'll see in the mobile version, everything's organized beautifully. Still have the image, still have the content. There's a donate button, and if you click on that, it takes you right down to the form. Okay. Also, strategic areas in the content, you can see we have donate buttons that show up on mobile and only on mobile. So I'll show you how to pull that off as well, because you'll notice that in the desktop version, those buttons aren't there. Okay, so you'll learn how to do that as well. If we look at the first version of this here, and we take a look at this on mobile. Okay, let's go ahead and look at so this is what it looks like on a phone. So on the cell phone, we have our heading, our countdown timer, the image of the tiger, some information, and there's the donate button again. If we click on this, it takes us right to the donation forms where we can go ahead and make our donation. So you can see everything looks very nice, very classy. and very clean on your mobile device as well as on desktop. Okay, so this is what we're going to be learning how to do, and the best part of this is we're going to be learning how to do this from scratch. And maybe at the end of this, I'll show you how Kadence actually handles GiveWP donation forms. There are lots of beautiful templates in Kadence, pretty much every charity template or donation template, and I think there's a few political templates as well on Kadence has an integration with GiveWP. And the last part of all this is you're going to be doing all this for free, right? So you don't need any pro version of anything to pull off what we've done here so far. Okay. Now there is a pro version of GiveWP and pro version of Kadence themes and the blocks. So I would highly recommend checking those out. But for the purposes of the tutorial, you're not going to need that. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start everything from scratch. All right, so what we have here is a fresh install of WordPress, meaning when you first install WordPress, you're going to be presented with the 2023 theme, which is the new default theme in WordPress 6.1. And what we're going to do now is we're going to install our plugins and themes to be able to build out our donation landing page. Now we're going to need three things. We're going to need the Kadence theme. We're going to need the Kadence blocks to help us build out our page. And then we're also going to need the GiveWP donation management plugin. And all these three things that we're going to install are completely free. So let's go ahead and start installing them. So what we need to do now is we're going to go to the dashboard and we're going to start with the theme. So we're going to go to Appearance, go to Themes, click on Add New, and you can do a search for Kadence. Okay, Kadence is a free theme. It's one of the most powerful themes in the repository today. It's excellent for building out websites and landing pages. So we're going to click on Activate, and we now have our Kadence theme installed. And then what we want to do here, while we're here, is just a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2021 theme. Let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need this anymore. And we're going to delete the 2022 theme as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave the 2023 theme in here in case I need to switch back and forth for troubleshooting purposes. Okay, so now we've installed the Kadence theme. Now let's go ahead and check the front end of the website to make sure everything installed correctly, and it did. So you can see now this is now themed in the Kadence default layout. Next, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and install our plugins. So that will be two plugins. We're going to install the Kadence blocks plugin, which will allow us to build out our pages. And then we're going to go ahead and install the GiveWP plugin, which will allow us to manage our donations. So let's go ahead and go to the dashboard, go to Plugins, click on Add New, and we're going to search for Kadence blocks. Here is the Kadence blocks. Go ahead and install that. Click on Activate, and now Kadence blocks is installed. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and install the final plugin, which is going to be our GiveWP plugin. So we're going to go back to Plugins, click on Add New. We're going to do a search for GiveWP, one word. And here's a GiveWP donation plugin. Let's go ahead and click on Install Now and Activate. Great. Now, when you first install Give, it's going to take you through a setup wizard. You don't have to go through the wizard if you don't want to, but for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to go through the wizard because we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into GiveWP as we build out this donation landing page. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on Start Setup, and we're going to raise money as an individual here. Let's just make this other for now. And if you'd like to join the GiveWP community, go ahead and do so. I recommend it. That way you can get all the fundraising tips and tricks to be able to do with the plugin. But I've already joined, so I'm going to go ahead and skip joining the community. I'm in the United States. My state is California. Currency is US dollars. Click on Continue. And here it's going to ask you, what do you need in your first donation? So what do you need to have on that form? Well, I want to have a donation goal. I definitely welcome the donation comments. Terms and conditions are fine. Offline donations will allow me to provide a way for people to donate if they don't have a way to pay online. So if they want to mail me a check or something like that, or if they're banking instructions, I can put that in the offline donations option. I'm going to allow for anonymous donations, and I definitely want company donations. Then click on Continue. And what it's going to do is going to create a form. So this is a preliminary form. You can create as many donation forms as you want, and there are different kinds, but it's going to create a preliminary one so you can kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so go ahead and click on continue. And in this part of the wizard, it's asking you what else do you need to support your cause. Now, everything that you see here is a pro add-on. Okay, so we're not going to be using any of these for now, but in a later tutorial, I will go over the pro capabilities of GiveWP. So let's go ahead and click on continue. And now we have completed our GiveWP initial setup. We definitely have more things to set up, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and just go through GiveWP itself, go through the plugin, learn every single aspect of it, and then we're going to go ahead and create some forms and create our landing page. Okay, so at this point, we've actually completed the initial step in the setup wizard, which is to create your first donation form. It's a generic form. It's not really the one that we're going to use, but it at least set us up for everything. The next step is for us to connect the payment gateway that's going to allow the processing of the donation. And the options that you're initially presented with are going to be PayPal and Stripe. And there are other payment gateways that are available as well, such as Razorpay, Square, and Authorize.net. But really, the best options are really Stripe and PayPal that are the most direct. Now, we can go ahead and connect these right now from here. But what I want to do is I actually want to take you through a little bit of a deep dive through GiveWP. And the best way to really do that is to go through settings to be able to do that. So one of the things we're going to do here is we're just going to go ahead and dismiss this setup screen. And later on in the tutorial, I'll show you how to get back to it in case you want to go through it this way. But we can always get back to the setup screen at any time. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through GiveWP through the settings. This will be the best way for us to set up the platform the way we want to use it for our website. Okay, so under donations, you're going to go to settings, and under settings, you're going to be presented with pretty much all the settings that are available for GiveWP. The first tab that you're going to see is the general tab, and under the general tab, there are actually 3 additional sub-tabs. Okay, you have currency, access control, and sequential ordering. Right now, we're looking at the general tab. So under the general tab, you're going to see where your success page for successful donation leads, failed donation page, and the donor dashboard page. These are important pages to have on the site for your donation management. When you install GiveWP for the first time, it automatically creates these pages for you. So if I go to pages right now, I'm going to see these pages here. These were created when I installed GiveWP. So you want to make sure that you have these and that you don't change these or delete these. Otherwise, your donations won't work correctly. Okay. Next, go back to settings and we're on the general. And then here you have the override the legacy donation management pages. So GiveWP has been around for a while, and there's an earlier version of GiveWP. And in case you want to use that version for whatever reason, you can go ahead and disable this, and you'll be able to have access to those to donation history, edit profiles, subscriptions, and the old way that it used to be done. The new way, in my opinion, is much better. It's much more refined and a lot cleaner. So we're going to leave that enabled to override the legacy donation management pages. And then here's just our base country and the base state that we set up in the setup wizard. Okay. All right. Next, let's take a look at the currency tab. Under currency, you're going to set up the currency for your respective country, and then set up the position where you want the thousands operator and the decimal separator to be, number of decimals, and you can see the preview of what your currency will look like over here. Under access control, you're going to set up how long you want a session to last. Now, what a session is basically when somebody makes a donation, GiveWP is going to start a new session for that user. And this will allow them to access their receipts, access their donor management page without having to log in again. Okay, so you can set it up for a week, 24 hours, 72 hours, however way you want to be able to do that. Okay, then under here you have the ability to limit donations displayed. So this adjusts the number of donations that are displayed to a non-logged in user. So when they attempt to use the donation history page without an active session, this was going to limit how many donations that they're going to see. And they recommend, for security reasons, making sure that these are set to 1 to 3 donations. I always just leave it at 1. Okay. Email access enabled. I tend to leave this enabled as well. So when this is enabled, this means that donors can access their donation history by verifying access to the email address that they use to donate. And I'll show you an example of that. But basically, when you try to access your history as a donor, it just asks you for your email. You enter in your email. It checks it against the database, and then it grants you access to your donation history. And then over here, you can enable recapture on your forms so that you don't have a bunch of bots trying to make donations or trying to overpower your forms. Okay. Sequential ordering, what this has to do with is just basically helps you number the donation IDs. Okay, so if you disable this, then the donations are generated from the WordPress post IDs, which will result in gaps between numbers. So typically I just leave this as it is, just leave it as enabled. But if for whatever reason you want to make changes here, this is where you would go to change the sequential ordering for your donations. Okay. All right, let's go over to payment gateways. So this is why I wanted us to skip the wizard, because here you get to see the full detail of what's possible with integrating with a payment gateway. Now, the payment gateway I typically recommend is Stripe. It's just the easiest to be able to use and the easiest to connect. You need to create a Stripe account at stripe.com to be able to utilize it. And then it's just a matter of clicking connect with Stripe, and it will automatically run through a wizard that connects it with your Stripe account. Okay, now below here, we have test mode. You can disable or enable test mode. Test mode is enabled right now. And what this allows us to do is allows us to be able to test our forms without actually putting in any credit card information. Okay, and then here are where you can enable the gateways that you want to use in your form. I typically recommend enabling 1 or 2 gateways at max, and then maybe having an offline donation as well. But right now we have the test donation enabled because we're going to be testing out our form. And then you also have offline donations. But if you had your Stripe connected, then you can go ahead and enable Stripe and enable PayPal. And that should be sufficient for you to be able to have a full rounded way for people to be able to make donations on your page. All right, now under the payment gateways, you can see here we have Stripe, PayPal, and donation tabs in addition to the main tab right over here. So let's go ahead and click on Stripe. Okay, so under the Stripe tab, you're going to have all the Stripe management options. Manage accounts, general settings, credit card, Stripe checkout, SEPA direct deposit, and BEX direct deposit. So what's great about GiveWP is that you have the ability to connect multiple Stripe accounts. So if you have specific causes that require you to have the funds separated into a different or specified Stripe account, you can add all those Stripe accounts here. And then on a per form basis, you can actually direct which Stripe account you want the funds to go into. But there is one that you will set up here, which will be your default account. And if you don't select any designated Stripe account, then it would just go into the default. So that's a pretty cool feature that GiveWP has. Under the general settings here is where you'll get your webhook to add to your Stripe account. And you can choose whether you want to collect billing details and how you want to control the Stripe receipt emails. Under the credit card, you have the option of choosing a credit card format. So there are the multiple fields option, which looks like this, and this is what comes by default. There's also the single field option if you just want a much cleaner style. Under the Stripe checkout is where you can set up how you want your Stripe checkout to work. So you can go with modal or redirect. Either one, they both work. Okay, now the SEPA direct deposit, and for those of you who don't know what SEPA means, SEPA stands for Single Euro Payments Area. So there are certain countries, about 34 countries that are SEPA countries, and Stripe integrates with those where you can actually allow those people to be able to make payments. So that's what this is, and you can set this all up here. Okay, and then you have BEX direct deposit. BEX stands for Bulk Electronic Clearing System, and this is a system that you typically find in the Australian financial system, and you can also set that up here if that is what you use. So now let's take a look at the PayPal options. If you click on the PayPal tab, it'll take you to the PayPal donations options. There are two options here. There's PayPal donations, and then there's PayPal standard. Now, most people are probably very familiar with PayPal standard. So let's start there. PayPal standard is basically where you plug in your email address, and the email address you want to add here is your PayPal email address. So whatever email address is associated with your PayPal account, is what you want to populate in this field right here. Okay. Then you can set up all the other aspects here, billing details and the invoice ID prefix as well, and also the PayPal pay style that you want to use. Now, the difference between PayPal Standard and PayPal Donations is that in PayPal Standard, when you integrate this with your form, people will fill out the information, select the donation they want to make, or enter in the donation that they want to make. And when they click submit, it takes them out away from your website to a separate PayPal checkout. So you're probably familiar with that. It just takes them away, redirects them to PayPal to complete the payment process. Now, PayPal Donations is different from that. With PayPal Donations, while logged into your PayPal account, you do have to connect with PayPal so that the two integrate, right? And when it does that, this specific integration will allow you to keep the user experience of processing the donation on your website. So it doesn't redirect them to PayPal. It all happens on your site, and then PayPal is in the background taking care of that donation. Also here, you can actually enable Venmo. You know, Venmo is a PayPal company now. So any donations you make via Venmo through this donation form will land in your PayPal account. Okay, so the next option is going to be the offline donations. Under offline donations, this is where you're going to place the instructions for people who want to make a donation, but they're going to be sending the payment separately, either through a check or some other form. So you want to put those instructions here. Now there's some default instructions here as well, but also just similar to Stripe and PayPal, actually similar to the Stripe more so, you are going to be able to set up offline donation instructions on a per form basis. This is just a default one that will be available if you don't specify a specific donation instruction, offline donation instruction on the form. Okay, so this is where you would put that information. Now, you can also enable billing address fields on the offline donation forms. They're not required to process the transaction, but you may have a need to collect the data. And if that's the case, then go ahead and enable this, and then there'll be the option for them to enter their billing details. Okay. All right. So with that, that covers all the gateways that are available. Now, there are additional gateways that you can add, but these are the two primary ones. And then the third one being the offline donation option. Up next, we're going to go through the default options, the emails, some advanced stuff, and then we're going to look at take a brief look at recurring donations, and then we'll move on to the forms. Okay, so the next main tab is the default options for the GiveWP plugin. Let's go ahead and access that. So when you get here, this is just all the default options that come in your forms. So you know, you can disable or enable or require these or make them optional. It's entirely up to you. So the name, title, prefix, company field, last name field, whether or not you want to enable or disable anonymous donations, and donor comments. So you can make that automatically enabled or disabled from this section. There's also a post type feature for the forms. So, you know, if you look over here on the left hand side, you can see over here where it says all forms. So currently all your forms are actually set up as their own custom post type. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to have a specific URL for each form. For instance, if we go and we take a look at that initial form we created, and if I click on view, you'll see over here that this form is actually contained in its very own custom post type. Okay, this is a donations custom post type, and it houses the form itself. That way you can just share the direct URL if you want to. Now, with the way we're going to be using it, we're actually going to be using the embed mode, but I like to leave this on anyway because it's still a very useful feature. The other thing that's great about it is that Kadence recognizes this custom post type, and you can actually style this differently if you want to. For instance, if I go to the customizer over here while I'm on the specific form itself, and if we take a look at post pages layout, and if we open this up, you'll see right over here under custom post types, Kadence has recognized that the GiveWP plugin is installed, and it recognizes that the donation forms has its own layout. And there's a layout for the single view form and a layout for the archive. So if I click here, I can go ahead and customize this any which way that I want. So I can say, okay, I want the title to be at the top there where it says donation form. or I can just hide that. Right? I can also choose how I want this layout to look. So I can say I want it to be more boxed, kind of like this, or I can have the layout be unboxed in that fashion. And then there's also the content style. So we can have this box section like this. If I just wanted it to be all white and just be more minimalist looking, then I can do that as well here. So there's all those options that are available for pages and posts become available for this. And you can see it still presents very nicely. It looks really good on the form, and you can confidently send the URL anywhere, post it on your social media, and then people can come here and just make their donations directly without any distractions. All right, so that's what that feature, that post type feature, is about under settings. So let's go back to our donations. We'll go back to settings, and we'll go to our default options here. So, and we just covered the post types. So I tend to leave all this enabled. They're all very useful features, but it controls everything from the form excerpts to the form featured image, and whether or not you want form archives for your form. So just leave those there where they are. Taxonomies, this gives you the ability to categorize your forms, and these are disabled by default. We can just leave that way. And then finally, there's terms and conditions. So you can enable terms and conditions on a per form basis, but if you want it to be available automatically for every form, then you would enable it here. Okay. The next tab is going to be the emails tab, and this is where you can control the content of the emails that go out when somebody makes a donation. So for instance, the donation receipt over here, you can go ahead and edit that and add whatever information you want to add here. There are template tags that can be inserted, and you'll find the full list of template tags down here. So you can craft any kind of email receipt that you want. Okay, so these here are all the donor emails. So what happens when a donor makes a donation, everything from their user registration to any notes that they add. We also have the admin emails. These are the emails that notify you as the admin that a donation has been made or a new donor has registered. And then over here are your email settings. There's a default template, and then you can add your logo, and you can also put the from name. So by default, the from name here comes from the name of the website, but you can change that if you want to. And then the email, and you can integrate with SendWP, which is an SMTP email sending tool, and that will allow you to ensure the delivery of your emails from your site. You can also use other SMTP plugins for that as well. And then over here is your general contact information. So this is where you're going to put in your offline mailing address, and it will pull it automatically into the offline instructions. Okay, and then also your admin email address can also be set here. By default, it will pull the admin email, but if there's a specific email you want to use as a notification email for those people getting emails, this is where you would put that information. The next tabs are the licenses tab for the pro add-ons. So we'll talk about this probably in a different tutorial, but once you get those add-ons, this is where you're going to add your license key and activate it. And then we have an advanced tab, and under the advanced tab, this is where you can control whether or not you want to use the default GiveWP style. So we saw that initially, how beautiful that form is. You can strip all that away, and if you want to have your own customized form, you can do that, and you can still customize those forms as well if you know how to access and make changes to CSS. Okay, removing data on install. If you set this to yes, if you deactivate and delete the plugin, it will delete everything that you've done. 100% of everything that you've done and stored within the plugin. Okay, the default user role that it applies is the GiveWP donor, but you could also select others. I just recommend keeping that at GiveWP donor. This will allow you to use Kadence to tailor experiences or conditional experiences for that specific user role in the blocks that allow you to do that. Okay. Then over here, remember when I talked about the setup page and I said you can always come back to the setup page. So if you look over here, there's no link to the setup page. There's no way to get back to that setup page once you've dismissed it. This is where you can come and re-enable that setup page. So if I enable this and then I save, then I would then again have access through a special link that will allow me to run through that setup wizard again. This here is where you set up your form prefix. So this can be the name of your organization or the name of a specific cause, or you can just keep it at give so that you can sort of recognize that you're using the give form features in whatever that page is. Okay, so and then advanced database updates, and then the GiveWP cache. So if you clear the cache, then what will happen is all the common settings that are saved and are used to optimize your performance will be cleared, and it'll start rebuilding those saved queries again. Okay. Under here is Akismet spam protection. Akismet is a plugin that deals with spam, and if you have it installed on your website, then you can do that integration here. And then we also have some advanced Stripe functionality in here as well. Now, recurring donations is a very, very powerful feature to have. In Give, it's not available in the free version. You actually have to get that as a pro add-on. Very much well worth it, because your donors can then set the option to have recurring donations from one action on the website. And so this just simply talks all about that. And with that, you probably have gone through all the settings that are available for GiveWP. Next, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go take a look at our forms, building a form, and then building out our landing page, and we'll wrap up this tutorial. Okay, now before we create a form, I do need to keep a promise. I did tell you I would show you how to get back to that setup wizard or that setup page that we dismissed earlier on, because if you notice, the setup link is no longer there. It's very easy. Just go to Donations, Settings, and Advanced. Click on the Advanced tab, scroll down in the options here, and look for the Setup Page option. Go ahead and enable that, then save your changes. Once you save your changes, just either refresh or just click on the Donations link over here, and you'll notice that we now have the Setup link back again. If you click on it, it will take you back to where you left off, right? So we created our first donation form, and now you can connect your payment gateways. If you just want to do it this way, right, you want to go through this whole setup portion again, you absolutely can, doing it that way. Now, once you dismiss it, you'll be right over here, and if you scroll down and you dismiss the setup screen here, then that setup link will go away, and you'll notice that under Settings, under Advanced, it's reset again to disabled. You can go ahead and re-enable it and then go through that process. That's only if you want to go through that setup wizard fully, because we did kind of cut it short because I wanted to show you all these settings. All right, now without further ado, let's move on to forms. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at forms. So if we go to all forms, we're going to see this initial form that we created during the setup wizard. What I want to do is I want to show you how to create a form from scratch. We're going to embed it in a page, and then we're going to get to work building out our donation landing page. So what you want to do is you go to all forms, click on add form, and when you get here, you'll have the option to go ahead and enter your form title. We'll just call this one the first donation form. Okay. And then the first set of options that you'll see are the donation form options. Here you get to set up your template, the donation options, form fields, the donation goal, terms and conditions, whether or not you want to use it in a form grid, which is a paid feature, I believe, and then the offline donations and email notifications. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to select a template. Now, there are 3 templates that are available. There's a multi-step form, the classic form, and the legacy form. They all work wonderfully, and they all look great. So you can pick any one that you want. The one we showed in the beginning of the tutorial, that is the multi-step form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what each form looks like. So let's activate the multi-step form. Once you activate it, it will tell you over here which form is active. You can also deactivate it if you change your mind, and then just select a different one if you want. So this is very flexible. But let's select the multi-step form to start. Then here are the form template options. So you're going to select your primary color, okay, your primary font, your decimal amounts, and then over here, step 1 is going to be your introduction. You can actually choose to disable or enable an introduction. But basically what the introduction will allow you to do is add the headline for whatever cause this form is for, and a description about it. Then you get to upload a featured image, and you get to control the text for the donate now, for the donate button. Okay. Over here will be in step 2 will be the header label for choosing the amount that people will select in this form, and then any description that goes with that, and then text for the continue button. In step 3, you will then put the information for the payment information. So here it says add your information, who's giving today, and description. And I'll show you where all this corresponds to the form that we're using. And then over here will be the donation summary, whether you want to enable the donation summary or just disable it. Summary heading, and then summary location after payment fields or before the payment fields, and then the text for the submit button, for the donate button. And then last is in step 4 will be the thank you page, what you want it to say. So this all controls all the information you want it to display. There are also template tags or merge tags that are available over here, so you can target the person who's making the donation and create a custom message for them. Okay. If you want to know what the available tags are available, you can always click on this link right here and it'll take you there. You can enable or disable social sharing. You can add sharing instructions. And if you want to post this to Twitter, there's also a Twitter message. Okay. Over here on the top right, there is a featured image option. This is for the archive page for it. So you can also add a featured image here as well. And then these are all your post settings for the individual custom post type if you will be using that. In our case, we actually are going to be using just the embed version, and I'll show you what that looks like. That's just using a shortcode or a widget in the block page editor to be able to display our forms. That way we can customize everything all around it. And that's everything covered in the forms template. So let's go ahead and add a couple things over here. So we're going to leave all this as is. Okay. So there's already some default information there. But here on the image, I want to add an image. So I'm going to click on add and upload file. We're going to click select files. And let's look for a very simple, let's just use this one. Okay. So here's an image. And I'm going to say choose file. And that is in there. And leaving this the way that it is, I'm going to go ahead and just publish this one. Okay, now we haven't gone through all the other options, but I just want to get this form on a page. So to get it on the page, we're going to go to new page, and let's call our page first donation form. Now this is just a rudimentary page. There's no real design here. This is just to display the form. So first donation, and we'll call this first donation page. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to get our form in here, and there's 2 ways to be able to do that. I'm going to go ahead and publish this page as it is right now. And we're going to go back out, go to donations, go to all forms. And if you look over here, here's our first donation form. Over here to the right is a shortcode. So I can copy this shortcode, go back to my first donation page, click on edit. And in here, I can go ahead and add a HTML block. You can do that by doing / and just typing HTML, and you'll see the custom HTML block. And I can go ahead and paste that in there. Click on update. And when we view this page, we can see our form. Okay. Doesn't have much to it right now, but it's got all the information we need to be able to go ahead and make a donation. All right. So, but there's also another way to be able to add this to a page as well. So I can go ahead and let's go ahead and remove this. Now I use the HTML block, but there is also a shortcode block. So I can do / shortcode to find that block, and I can go ahead and paste in my shortcode this way. And when I view the page, here is, it still renders the form for me. Okay. Let's go ahead and click on edit page again, and I'll show you the third way to be able to do this. Let's go ahead and delete this block. And what I want to do now is I'm going to open up the block inserter, and in here it will display for me all the blocks that are available to be able to build out a page or add content to this page. And in the search box here, I'm just going to do a search for give. Okay, that's going to show me all the give blocks, which are indicated by their logo here. And here I can go ahead and pull in the donation form. So I can just drag it and drop it in there. And then I can select which form I want to display. So the one I want to display is the first donation form. There it is right there. Click on update. And when I view the page, there's the form. Okay. So those are all the ways to be able to embed a form into the page. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you what all the other forms look like. Okay. So right now we're looking at the multi-step form, which means you have to go through a couple of steps to be able to make this donation. All right. So what does it look like when you're looking at the legacy or the classic form? So let's go back to our dashboard. I'll open this in a separate browser. And we're going to go to donations, all forms, and first donation form. We're going to click on edit. All right. And over here under the form options, form template, looking at the multi-step form here, that's what's active. We're going to come over here and we're going to deactivate it. Click on deactivate. And we're going to select the classic form. So we're going to select the classic form, click on activate. Oops. And you'll see here are all the settings for this classic form, right? So each form has its own different settings. There's some things that are similar, but there's some areas that are different. Namely, the styling will be a little bit different and your container style and options will be different. But we're just going to leave everything as it is right now. We're going to click on update. And I'm going to go back to my first donation page where I have my form embedded, and I'm just going to refresh the screen. And you can now see what the classic donation form looks like. It's a little bit more bold, a lot more bigger font and text. Here are the donation options. But what you'll notice is everything is immediately available. There's no stepping through and there's no multi-step. So this is great for a mobile experience because somebody can just come here, they make their donation, who's giving today, put in their information. How would you like to pay? We have the test donation options available, but there's also the offline donation, and then there's a PayPal donation where it kind of tells you what will happen when you donate with PayPal. This will redirect you. Now, if we had PayPal donations, then there will be a credit card form here. Okay. All right. And then you can go ahead and make your donation. So this is what the classic form looks like. Let's take a look at what the legacy form looks like. So we're back at the first donation form again. We're going to deactivate the classic form and we're going to activate the legacy form. And once again, you'll notice that the form display has different options for styling. Okay. So now that we've set this up, we're going to click on update. Make sure we have the legacy form active, which it is. Next, we're going to go to our first donation page. And when I refresh the screen, this is the legacy form. So it's very simple. It's got all the donation options here in these boxes. And then you can see very simple area to put in your personal info and then donate now. So still looks very good. Still looks extremely presentable and very simple. So those are the options that you have for your donation form. Personally, I prefer the multi-step because I just think it presents the best. So I'm going to go ahead and deactivate this, and I'm going to select the multi-step form. Click on activate, click on update. And when I go back here, refresh the screen, the multi-step form is back. All right, up next, let's take a look at all the options and then move forward with building out our donation management page. Okay, so the rest of the options here all have to do with configuring the form and the options within the form. So this first tab, which is the form template, really deals more with the styling and enabling sections within that form. So now if we go to the donation options, this is where you get to control what's available within the form. So for instance, you have a donation option. And the question here is, do you want a multi-level donation or do you want a set donation? A multi-level donation is what we've been seeing so far. So if I go to our form here and I refresh the screen, multi-level means when I click on donate now, I've got these levels, right? $10, $25, $50. and the custom amount. So this is a multi-level donation form or format. When we go back, if I choose to have it be a set donation, then you get to be able to set what the starting donation amount is, and there are no other levels. So if I click on, let me update this, and then I view the form on the front end. When I refresh the screen, if I click on donate now, you'll see now that this is set. There are no other levels to choose from. Now the donor can still change the amount. They can choose to put a different amount if they want to. Okay, but there are no set levels. There are no predetermined donation amounts when you set it that way. That's what this does. So let's set it back to multi-level donation because I actually prefer that. And then we have the custom amounts, whether you want to have that enabled or disabled. There are donation limits. So what's the minimum amount donation that you will accept? And what's the maximum amount donation that you would set? This is where you would set that up. The custom amount text here is pretty self-explanatory. And then the actual donation levels themselves. So right now you can see this is where we set the levels of $10, $25, and so on. And you can have as many levels as you want. You can add additional levels, but typically, you know, you want to have a pretty even amount of options so that people can make a decision very easily. Okay. And that's what happens in the donation options. All right, so the next option here is going to be the form fields. And under the form fields is where you set all your default options or your specific options for the form. So you can set up a default gateway, meaning which gateway will be the first option when someone goes to make a donation on the form. And if you leave it at a global default, then it would just set it up for that one. So if you have it at offline donation, as an example, or PayPal standard, then that will be the default option that's offered with the form. But you can change that here. If you had Stripe integrated, you could go ahead and add, maybe choose Stripe to be the first option. Okay. Then the name and title prefix, company donations, last name fields, requirements, and so on. These will always follow the default option that you have set up in your settings, but you can actually change this on a per form basis. So for each form, you can actually configure specific options for the name and title, company donations, last name field, and so on. Okay, same thing with the donor comments, guest donations or anonymous donations, and whether or not you want to require registration. So each form has its own set of specific settings that can be separate from the default. The next option is the donation goal. So by default, this is disabled. But if you enable this, then there will be a progress bar and you can actually set a goal amount for that specific form. You can set the color, change the color for that if you want. And you can set it up so that once the goal is reached, then the form is no longer available. Okay, so right now I just enabled this. If I click on update and then I go and visit the form, let's refresh the screen. You'll see that now we have this progress bar, our goal, donations, and the amount raised. Okay. So next up will be the terms and conditions. This is where you can set specific terms and conditions for this particular form, or if you have terms and conditions set up in the settings, then it will automatically use those here. You can also disable it if you don't want to have that on your form, or you can go ahead and customize one specifically for this form. And then the form grid is actually it's a really cool option whereby alrighty. And then the form grid, which is the next option, is where you'll come and customize how this form looks or functions when it's displayed as part of a grid. So if you have multiple forms or multiple causes, you can control how the form will look. This specific form will look in there. So if I click on customize as an example, then I can set a redirect URL for the button that's clicked on that form grid. I can change the donate button text. So right now by default it says donate here. I could change this to donate now or something else if I want it. But when it's part of a grid layout of multiple forms on one page, I get to control how that looks. I typically leave this as the default option. And then your offline donation. So we set up offline donation languaging in the settings, in the global settings, but you can actually create a custom one here. So maybe in the global settings, you're saying go ahead and pay by check. However, you may have different options for this form whereby maybe you want them to pay by ACH or bank transfer or bank wire. Then you could go ahead and set those specific instructions in here. Okay, and then email notifications. So there are global email notifications that we already set up for the donor, for yourself as the admin. Well, you can change that here. So, and you can see all the different ones over here. But if you go ahead and click to customize, then you can change the template if you have one, add a different logo, even change the form name. And then for new donations, you can go ahead and customize each one as you move along. Okay, we're going to probably leave these alone. It's always good to just sort of set a global option unless there's a specific reason why you want different email notifications for a specific form. Just really depends on what you're doing. Okay. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of the other menu items under the donations, like the reports, the donations, donors, and tools. And then we're going to go ahead and finally build out our donation management page from scratch using everything that we have learned. So the only other tabs that are under the donations will be the reports. So this is where you would go. If we click on reports, this is where you would go to see an overview of the donations, the amounts. There are some nice charts here and who's made those donations. You'll see it here at a glance. Then under the donations link here on the donations menu item, you will see all the donations and more details about those donations. And then under the donors, you will see the actual donors will be listed here. Under the tools are just a few tools to help you do things like export a donation history, maybe import donations from maybe a test site or somewhere else or another site if you want. And then you can also run other kind of specific exports and reports from here as well. So it's a pretty robust system for, and this is just in the free version. There are pro add-ons that allow you to extend GiveWP even further and give you even more functionality to help you manage donations better. And what's great is as of this video right now, there is an offer of 40% off on all their plans for a limited time. So this is their Black Friday is coming up. So I would highly recommend checking out, check out the free version, but also keep in mind about the pro version and seeing if there are some items there that you may want. I will leave a link in the description below. It'll be an affiliate link. So anything you purchase from the site will generate a commission to go support the channel. That's just something that you can do if you want to support. But we'll take a look at some of those options at the end of this video of what's available with GiveWP so you can see some of the add-ons that are available to you. All right, with that, let's go ahead and transition into building out our full layout, our landing page for raising money for donations using everything that we have learned about GiveWP and the powers of Kadence theme and Kadence blocks. Okay, so let's look at the landing pages we're going to be building. So the first one is this one right here. It's a 2-column donation or fundraising page. It has the title, a countdown timer, all the content is on the left, and the donation form, the GiveWP donation form, is on the right. It's contained in a sticky section, so it sticks to the top of the page while you scroll through the rest of the content. Then we have an alternate version of this page whereby the content here is on the left. We have a call to action here, and the form is on the right, and we have this nice beautiful tiger image in the background. And then when you start to scroll, the form will stick to the top of the site. It'll stick in place, and the rest of the content will move behind it, and it'll actually break through the section here. So it's completely overlaid on top of the website. And as you scroll down, you consume the content, and the form is still in view on desktop. And then on mobile, here, if we inspect this and we take a look at it on a mobile site, this is what it looks like on a cell phone. We have the call to action here with the donate button, picture of the tiger and all our content. And then we have these links. And when you consume a little bit of content, there's a link for you to go ahead and donate. If you click that link, it takes you right down to the donation form where you can go ahead and proceed with your donation. Okay, and we also have the same thing here on the first version. It's a little bit different layout. I'll be showing you how to create these layouts for mobile. And again, kind of the same thing. As you scroll down, there's a donate link that shows up in different places because there's more and more content, but you definitely want to do calls to actions as people are scrolling. So we click here and it'll take us to the form and you can go ahead and make your donation. So these are the layouts that we're going to be building. So if we go back to our site, you'll see that our site has none of that information in here. It's just the same default Kadence install. So we're starting with a fresh site to be able to build out these pages. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so if you've been following along, you should have a page like this. All this is a install of WordPress with the Kadence theme and Kadence blocks installed and GiveWP installed. And we just went through GiveWP. So now our website is really in a very default state. What we want to do now before we start building out our landing page is we actually want to set up our site and then set up a page that we're going to be building the donation page on. Okay, so to do that, the very first thing I want to do is I want to set up my color scheme, and Kadence has a color palette system that lets you do that very easily. So if you're here and you're looking at the page and you're getting ready to get started, just go over to the customizer by clicking on customize in the WordPress admin bar right here, and then go to colors and fonts, click on colors, and you'll see your global palette. So right now we have this palette, which is sort of a blue theme going on, and we want to change that. To change it, you can change the colors individually yourself. So you can, if you have a custom palette that you want to use, you can do that. And if you don't like what you have here, you can always reset it to the defaults. But Kadence actually comes with some color sets already. And to access those color sets, you can just click on the briefcase over here. It looks like a folder briefcase. Click on that and you'll see these color sets that are available to you. Okay, and I want a orange brownish color set, and luckily Kadence already has one in place, which is this one right here, this last one. So I'm going to select that one. And as you can see, it now changes the entire color scheme for my website. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and click on publish, close this out, and now we're ready to move on. The next thing that we need to do is we actually need to create our donation page. So the page that people are going to go to. And then I want to set that page as the home page for the entire site. That way, when I'm making my changes, it's very easy for me to move back and forth to see what I'm doing. Okay, so to be able to do that, there's two ways to create a page in WordPress. You can do it from the admin bar by going to new and then page, and that will take you into the page creation interface. Another way to do it is if you are on the front end of the website, you can go back to the dashboard, go to pages, and click on add new, and it'll bring you back to the same interface. Okay, so over here we're going to call this our Coco the Tiger donation page. Okay, and now we need to set up this page for us to page build on it. Okay, to set up the page in Kadence, you have a page settings option, which is going to be to your right, and it's this icon here that looks like a page with a pencil going across it. Go ahead and click on that and you'll see all the page settings for this page. We're going to skip the transparent header and just go right to the page title, where we're going to disable the page title. For the page layout, we want this to be full width layout, meaning that the page is going to go from screen end to screen end. And then for the content style, we want that to be unboxed, so we get even more space. And then for the content vertical padding, we want to disable that. And so that's all we need to do to set up this page. So again, disable the page title, select full width for your page layout, set the content style to be unboxed, and then the content vertical padding is disabled. And once you're done with that, go ahead and click on publish. And when we view the page, we'll see now that we have a full width page ready for us to build on. Now we need to do one more thing, because again, if I click on the logo here, it's still going to take me to that archive, default archive homepage. I want to change it so that it's my Coco the Tiger donation page. That is the home page. To do that, go to the dashboard, go to settings, go to reading, and here where it says your home page displays, change that to a static page. And then under the home page, open up the drop down, select the Coco the Tiger donation page or whatever your page is, click on Save Changes. And now when we visit the front end of the website, we can now see that it's always going to be our page. And now we can go ahead and get started on building on it. So to start building out our page, we're going to click on Edit Page. And we're going to start adding blocks to build out our content. The way you add blocks in the WordPress block editor is really very simple. There are several ways to be able to do it. I'll show you a couple of those ways right now. The first and easiest way is to really use the WordPress block inserter, which is this blue square with the plus sign. If you click on that, it'll show you all the Gutenberg blocks that are available for you to use to build out your page. Okay, the first ones you'll see will be the Kadence blocks, which we'll be using most of these blocks for our build out. But you also have the default WordPress blocks as well. There are paragraph blocks, media blocks, design blocks, widget blocks, theme blocks, and there's even GiveWP blocks as well. So we're going to be utilizing all the ones that we need to build out our page. Now, that is the first way to be able to add a block. So if I wanted to add something here, I could just drag any block I want onto the page and then start dealing with the options that are available to me for that block. If I want to delete a block, I can just select it, hit delete on my keyboard, and that will delete the block. Another way to be able to add a block to the page is by clicking on the black plus sign over here. This will show you a preview of your most recently used blocks sometimes, or just a preview of some blocks. And you can utilize this very easily by just clicking on the block that you want. So if I clicked on advanced text, for instance, it would just pop it in there on the page for me. Okay. And then the final way I'm going to show you is by doing a search. So right over here where you see it say type / to choose a block, if you type the / key on your keyboard, you will see a preview of some blocks that are available to you. And you can also search for a block. So if I did / and I did a search for, let's say for instance, video, I would see all the video related blocks, and then I can go ahead and select what I wanted. Or if I did a / and I typed info, I would see an info box or anything that had to do with a similarity to that search. Okay, if I typed section, maybe I'm looking for a container block, I would see section block, heading block, and so on. So you can just search for the blocks by doing a / first. Okay, and that's how we're going to be adding our blocks. So the first block that we actually need to add is a row block, and I'm just going to add that the traditional way. I'm going to click on the plus sign over here for the Gutenberg block inserter, or WordPress block inserter, excuse me. And then I'm going to look for my row layout from the Kadence blocks set of blocks. So I want this row layout as well. This is going to be my container block, and I'm just going to drag it right onto the page. I can close this out so I can see more, and it's going to give me an option to select a layout. The layout I want is a 1-column layout. This is going to contain all of my content and all of my subsequent blocks as I build out the page. Okay, so now that I've got the block on the page, I'm going to set up a few settings. I'm going to select the block, and then over here on the right hand side, I'm going to look for the structure settings. And under the structure settings, I'm going to say that I want the content max width to be inherited from the theme. What this is going to do is it's going to center my content on the page. Okay, now the block is still a full width block, but the inside section will be centered within that block. Anytime you add a row block to your page, it actually adds a row and it adds a section, which is an internal column that can contain more blocks or any other content that you have. And if you ever want to see how the hierarchy of your pages is going, you can use the link view, which is this icon here, the list view. And when you open that up, you'll see all the blocks that are on the page and how they are organized. So if we look at this row block, for instance, and I open this up, I can see that there's a section block in there. And as I add more blocks, it will continue to list those blocks here in the list view. So just like I can see here, there's a paragraph block, and I don't want this block. So I'm just going to hit delete, and that's going to be gone. Okay. All right. So now I've set up my outer row block. Now I need to start putting in content on the inside of this column. So the first bit of content I'm actually going to add is another row block. This row block is going to contain the top header portion of information for this page. Okay, so I'm going to click on the plus sign here, and I'm going to select the advanced text. This is a Kadence block, the advanced text. That's a Kadence heading block, but it's also a Kadence text block as well. By default, it's going to provide a block that is an H2 tag, which is a heading tag. Okay, so here we're going to say help save Coco the tiger. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and center this, and I want this to be a little bit larger. So over here in the mini formatting bar, I'm going to select the typography settings, which is this one right here. You can also do it here on the right hand side, but this is just a lot faster. So I'm going to open that up, and over here where it says transform, I'm going to open up the drop down. I'm going to say I want everything to be uppercase. I'm also going to change the size of this and make that 55 pixels so that it's a lot larger. And then the line height for this, I'm going to set that to be about 6 points above, or 6 pixels above this. So that's going to place me at 61. Okay. All right. So now we have our heading title in place. The next thing that we need to add here is our countdown timer. Okay, so I can do that a number of ways. I can click on the plus sign here and then add the countdown. It's already offering it to me, but if it wasn't offering it to me, then I can go ahead and do the search for it, and I'd find it anyway right there. So click on the countdown timer. I'm going to immediately set this to be aligned to the center of the page. And then over here on the right hand side are going to be all my options for this countdown timer. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set the date. November. We're going to set the how long we want this to count down for. I want it to go to the 30th. And then it's going to ask us what action do we want to happen on expire. On action, I just want the timer to show 0. So this is fine. Then we're going to shift down to the countdown layout. I'm going to open that up. I've already centered it. And over here, I want to enable a divider to create some separation between the numbers there. Okay. I'm going to leave the enable 00 number format the way that it is, but I'm going to add some text right above it here. So this is the countdown pretext. And the text I'm going to add is going to say time left to reach our goal. And let's do a colon for that. Okay. All right. And so far, this looks pretty good. And I'm not going to style anything just yet. I just want to get all my content on the page first. So far, we've added the heading content for our page. Next, we're going to go ahead and add the donation content to our page. Okay, so to do that, I want to add a row directly beneath the countdown timer. So a good way to make sure you're doing this is if you select the countdown timer in the vertical ellipsis that you see over here, some options. If you click on that, there is an option here to insert a block space right after that, right? So if I click on insert after, there's a block section over here for me to go ahead and add an additional block. And the block that I want is going to be a 2-column row. So I'm going to do a / and type row. I'm going to select the Kadence row layout, which is this one right here. And I want a 2-column row. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now I automatically get a 2-column row. It's already centered because it's contained inside of that external row, which already has a structure set up already. Okay, and what I want to do is I just want to adjust this to be about 60% and 40%. So 60% will contain my content, 40% will contain my form. Okay, and then the next step here will be to go ahead and start adding the content, which consists of an image and some words and maybe a few additional content. And then we're going to be adding the give form as well. Okay, now what we want to do is set up all our content first, and then we're going to come back and style everything. So I want to go ahead and click on the plus sign here. I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to search for advanced image. This is the image block from Kadence. I'm going to select that one. And then I'm going to click on select image, and I'm going to upload an image from my computer, which should be an image of the tiger. So that one. This is the image. Okay. Actually, and for those of you who may not have images and you're following along, don't worry. I will provide you with these images in a link in the description below. Okay. So I actually want to use this one. This is a much better image. So let's use that one. Okay. So I grab my image and I'm going to insert it in there. Okay. And now I'm going to format my image a little bit. So I'm going to select the image. I'm going to move over here to the right hand side with the image settings. I'm going to scroll down and I'm looking at the border settings, and I want to set a border radius. I'm going to go ahead and collapse the radius here because it's all going to be the same. And we'll set this to be 6 pixels. Okay. Then the other thing is I want to add a little bit of a shadow to this image so it stands out from the page. I'm going to open up these shadow settings and I'm going to select the box shadow, and you can see a very subtle shadow there. Let's go ahead. Oops. Let's go ahead and increase that to 44 pixels. And there's a very subtle shadow there, and it looks great. It makes it stand out from the page just a little bit. Okay. All right. Then the next thing that we need to do is we need to add our content. Okay. So I'm going to select that image section again. Whoops. Select that image that I added, and I'm going to click on the options here. Click on insert after so I can get a new block line. Do a /. Look for advanced text, which is the Kadence text block. And we're going to say Coco needs your help. Okay. And then we're going to add some information below here. So to make this very easy, I'm just going to go to my lorem ipsum, which is just some standard text. Okay. So here we go. Just going to grab this, copy it, hit enter, and you can just paste it just like that. Okay. So, and let's see here. Okay, that's great. That looks good. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want to add some additional information here. So let's add another row block. You can add anything that you want. Whatever your content is, you go ahead and add it. All right. So in my case, what I want to add is I'm going to add an info box. And for the purposes of this demonstration, let's just use I'm going to use the block inserter. That way you get to see where all these blocks are coming from. So I'm going to open up the block inserter, and I'm looking for the info box block, which is this one right here. I'm going to drag it in there. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and configure this box. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to change the title here. And what I want to do is I just want to show some benefits for, depending on how much you donate, I want to show the benefits that you get, just as an example. So for a $25 donation, you get whatever these benefits are. Okay. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to go ahead, grab the container settings over here. And actually not the container settings. What I'm looking for is the media settings, and I want to change that icon. So delete the icon that's there. Just do a search for give, or actually do a search for hand. And we're going to use this one. Okay, so this is going to be our container box. All right, and I'm just going to leave that as it is for now. I just want to put the information in, and then come back and we'll do all the styling. So I'm going to go ahead and select this box. Click on the vertical ellipsis here. Click on copy block. Come over here. Click on the plus sign. Add a paragraph, and then if you do a Command V, then you'll post a duplicate of that box in there. Okay, and then I'm going to select the entire row just the way that it is right now, and I'm now going to, so make sure you select the entire row. Another good way to do this: open up list view, and you can make sure that that row is actually what you selected. Okay, and then in the vertical ellipsis, I'm going to open up the options, and I'm going to click on duplicate. And now I have 4 boxes that look similar. So we can now change the amounts. So this can be $50, and you get that benefit. And this will be, let's make this one $100, and we'll make this $250. Okay, so now we have some content. Okay, now I'm gonna put some some additional content here as well. So I'm going to select this row again, and I'm going to insert a block after it. And then I'm just going to grab some text that I already have here. And of course, I could have just copied this block and done it that way, but that's okay. Multiple ways to do things. I'm going to paste that in there. And I think we have enough content. Let's just add a little bit more. Okay. The idea here is I want to add as much content about my cause as I can on this side. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and update this. And if we take a look at it, it looks pretty good. Okay. Next, we need to add our donation block in here. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to do a search for give. And here's a give donation form. I want to select that widget, and we're going to select the form that we want. Now, we haven't created a form for this specific cause, okay, but we will. So for now, whatever we put in here is just going to be a placeholder form. So I'm just going to put in any form for now, okay, because I'm just building out the page to see how it looks. All right, so far so good. I'm going to click on update, and then we're going to view the page. All right, our page has come together quite nicely. So we have our content on the left, we have our GIF form on the right, and the GIF form is operational. Okay, I'm going to show you how we're going to design this GIF form so that everything is congruent and goes well with each other. Okay, now, but there is one thing that I do want to change, and what I want to change is I want to get rid of the header. I just really want it to be a landing page, a donation landing page without any other distractions other than the information for the donation. So to be able to do that, go to edit page. All right, and under the edit, in the edit page section, go to your page settings. And at the very bottom of that, we're going to go ahead and disable the header, and we're going to disable the footer. Click on update, and then view the page. All right, so now that header is gone and everything that we want is in focus. Okay, this looks good. All right, now let's just do a few tweaks to make this look even better. So click on edit page and open up your list view, and make sure you have the row layout selected. So make sure you have the main row layout selected. Then over here on the right, under padding and margin, we're going to increase this to 60 pixels. And the bottom margin, we're going to increase that to 60 pixels as well. Okay, that's going to give us some more spacing here so that the text isn't so flush against the top of the browser. Click on update, and let's view those changes. Okay, now it looks a lot better. It looks more balanced. Okay, so everything looks really good. Now, the other thing that we want to do is we also want, when people are scrolling, right, when they're scrolling and reading the information, we want this form to remain in view. This is a really cool feature in Kadence that will allow you to make this a sticky section. Okay, so to be able to do that, let's go back to edit page. All right, and we're going to select that section. So make sure that when you click here, this area right here says section, so you know you have the section selected. If you have a hard time selecting the section for whatever reason, you can always open up list view, and you can find that section and just click on it to be able to select the section itself. Okay, so here's the section. And what I'm looking for now are the sticky settings, which is over here underneath the visibility settings. Open up the sticky settings and click and toggle on the make sticky. Okay, as we toggle it on, one thing I like to do is I just like to set a little bit of space between where it sticks and the top of the browser. So let's just go ahead and set that to 20 pixels. Okay, click on update, and then we can view the page. And then when we scroll, we can see that the section stays in place as we continue to consume the content about this specific cause. Okay, and that looks really good. Okay, now the next thing that I also like to do at this point is I like to set up all my mobile settings so that the only thing that's left to do after that is to just make it look pretty, is to do the design. Okay, already this actually looks great when we haven't designed anything. So but I'm going to go ahead and do the set it up for mobile. Okay, so what I want to do is click on edit page. Okay, And I'm going to select that outermost row that we had, right? So the very first row here, I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to go through the motions of making this mobile responsive. So let's start with the tablet view. So over here on this row layout, you'll have these different views. This is the tablet view. This is the mobile view. So I'm going to click on the tablet view for this, and it's going to go ahead and shrink everything for me so I can see how this may look on a tablet. Now, the thing about Gutenberg is sometimes it isn't exact when you're looking at it on the back end. So I'll show you on the front end how to make sure that everything still looks great even after you've made the tweaks here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do as I'm looking at this is I can see that all the information here is squished to the left. All right, so I don't really want that. So I want to be able to change that. But if you look over here, you'll notice there doesn't seem to be a way to be able to make that change. And that is because this internal row right over here is inside of this main one column row. So we want to make sure that we select the internal row to be able to make that change. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And as soon as I selected that row, you notice that there's a tablet layout option that has shown up. And what I want to do is I want to stack these on top of each other, right? So it still has the give form on the right over there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the have it collapse and expand. Okay, so now this looks a lot better on tablet. I'm going to scroll down and just take a look at the work, make sure that everything looks good. All right, and it does. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to look at it on an actual mobile device, on an actual tablet. And there is a way to be able to do that in Chrome. So go ahead and update the page, then click on View Page. And if you right click anywhere here and you click on Inspect, you should be able to access the Chrome Developer tool. It's this tool right over here that shows you some of the code and styling and computed layouts for what you're building, okay? And then in the Chrome Developer tool, there's actually, it doesn't start out that way. It starts out this way. There is an option to look at the mobile responsiveness of the page, and you can just click here to toggle that on. All right, so right now it's looking at it on a mobile phone. The device is an iPhone 12 Pro, but you can also look at other devices here as well. So we were working on the tablet. So let's grab a tablet. Let's grab the iPad mini and expand that, okay? So if I were looking at this on iPad mini, it looks very good. The text looks fine. The countdown looks great. The image is nice. So scroll down. All this is organized correctly. And the form looks good. So I'm happy with how it looks on tablet view. The next step is to check it out on mobile view, okay? So I can do that here right now, even though I haven't set up any mobile settings, but I can go here and open it up on the iPhone 12. And I can see here the text is, this is pretty big. Scroll down. All this actually still looks good out of the box, and we've barely done anything. So this actually looks really good. The only thing we need to change now is we just need to make this a little bit smaller so it's not taking up so much real estate, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this, click on Edit Page, and then I'm going to go ahead and select this this title, and looking over here onto the right, okay, I'm going to scroll down to the font size, and I'm going to select the mobile device view, which is the last one over here on the right. Click on it, and I'm going to make sure that I change the font size. So I have the font size on the desktop at 55. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 35, okay? Also, the line height is still pretty wide, so I'm going to add about 6 pixels to my original font size, and that's going to give me 41 pixels, so that now it looks a lot more presentable, okay? And now as I'm looking at it, it looks like all this is out of place, but remember, sometimes on the back end with Gutenberg, things don't look exactly the way that they do when you look at them on the front end, okay? So it's always good to continue to check. So after I've made this change, I'm going to go ahead and click on Update. I'm going to go to View Page. I'm going to right-click to access my Chrome Developer tool, and it's still set to the mobile device, so this is great. And over here, yeah, so it actually looks really good. This looks correct. Everything presents well. And my mobile editing for this portion is done. Now there is one more thing that I want to do though. If I'm looking at this on the phone, I can see the title, I can see the countdown timer, there's the image, and then there's all this text, all this content, but there's no call to action as of this point. So it's actually taking some time before I actually get to the form, and I don't want that. What I want is, I want when somebody is ready to make a donation, or when somebody comes to this page on their mobile device, I want, after they've read a little bit of text, they have an option to go ahead and make that donation. Okay, I want that to show up on a mobile device. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and close out of this, and we're going to click on Edit Page. And right over here, after this text, I'm going to go ahead and place my cursor there and hit the Enter key. And the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a /, and I'm going to search for a section. Now, a section is another type of container. Typically, you find a section inside of a row, but Kadence blocks actually has section blocks that are separate from rows. These are just container blocks where you can put things in them, and then they have their own settings. And these sections have some great visibility settings. That's why I always add the section first. So I'm going to add a section. If you want to find this in the Kadence blocks list, you can always open up the WordPress block inserter, and you'll see the section right over there. You can go ahead and drag it into your page. I just used a shortcut to be able to access it. Okay, so here's a section right here. And what I want to do is I want to add a button in here. Now, this button will only show on mobile devices. I don't want it showing up on the desktop. So I'll show you how we do that. Click on the plus sign and do a search for button. Here's the advanced button from Kadence. You'll always know the Kadence blocks. You always know the Kadence blocks because they're always going to be blue, right? So here's one here. So I'm going to click on that one. And for this button, I'm going to say, I want it to say donate. So just go ahead and type in donate right there. And then we need to style this block, but we'll do that later. But for now, I just want to set it up as donate. And then I'm going to click on the actual button itself so that it opens up the link that I want. And inside of the link, I want this to link to hashtag donate. Donate form. Hashtag donate form. Okay, so you see how I typed it, capital D and then a capital F. And then I'm going to click on the arrow here so that it holds on to that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that section. So make sure when you select this, it's the entire section like that. If you have a hard time selecting that, open up the list view and find the section right over here. So it's right after the paragraph. So here it is right here. Okay. Grab that section, open up the vertical, click on the vertical ellipsis here and copy the entire block. And then I'm going to scroll down and I want to add that again right in between these blocks. So I'm going to select this row and I'm going to click on vertical ellipsis again, insert after, and then press Command V or Control V if you're on a PC and paste it in there again. All right, so we need to do one more thing though. We need to go ahead and tag the section where this is going to go to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and find, I'm going to click on the section right over here. All right, and I click on advanced. And here where it says HTML anchor, I'm going to go ahead and type donate form without the hashtag. Okay, so just donate form goes into the HTML anchor here. What this is going to do is whenever somebody clicks on this, it will lead them straight here. Okay. Now, if we view the page right now, we can see that those donate buttons are there. Okay. And on desktop, if I click on this, it doesn't seem to do anything other than move this up and down. Okay. So, which is not the behavior that we want. Matter of fact, we don't want this showing up on desktop. We want this showing up on mobile. So if I look at this on a mobile device, by doing a right click, click on inspect, and it's going to take me back to my Chrome developer tool where I can see this as a mobile device. On a mobile device, this totally makes sense. If I click on donate, it will take me to the form. Okay. If I skip the first one and I find the second one, I click on donate again, call to action, it takes me right to the form. So the behavior on mobile is perfect, but the behavior on desktop is not. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. To fix that, go back to the page, click on edit page, and you're going to scroll down to the donate button. Make sure you select the section. Okay, so now I have the section selected. And over here on the right, you're going to see visibility settings right underneath the overlay link. Open up the visibility settings, and I'm going to select hide on desktop. I'm also going to select hide on tablet. Okay. And then I'm going to scroll down, select the next one, make sure I'm selecting the section. Okay, so see how I'm having a hard time getting to the section? I'm going to go ahead and open up list view because that's not a problem. And I'm going to select the section right there. Over here on the right, open up the visibility settings, hide on desktop, hide on tablet, click update. Now when I view the page, right click, inspect to open up the Chrome developer tool. It's still set to my mobile settings. And when I scroll now, click on donate, just making sure that it still works, which it does. Now I'm going to set this to desktop by toggling the device settings here. And now we're on desktop. And on desktop, you'll notice you don't see those buttons at all. I can close this out. So we don't see those buttons at all. So it will only show when you are on a mobile device, right? And so far, this looks really good. Okay, now the only thing left to do is to add some styling, add our color scheme to this page, and we are done with this version of the page. Okay, so we're going to style everything in stages. The first thing that we're going to style is going to be the background of our donation landing page. So to get started with that, just go ahead and click on edit page so we can enter the editing interface. And what you want to do is you want to select the outermost row, so the outermost container of everything. If you have a hard time selecting that, just go ahead and open it up in list view by clicking on the list view icon over here. And you'll see that outermost row that contains all of the blocks that comprise this page. Okay, so we want the entire row selected. Okay, so now that we've selected that, let's make sure that I have that selected. Over here on the right, we're going to go to our background settings, and I'm going to set the background color to this light beige color. Okay. All right, that looks good. Then next, what I want is I want a little bit of a design back here because the theme is tiger, so it'd be nice to have some tiger stripes or something similar. And so I'm going to go to the background overlay settings. And what's awesome about the Kadence background overlay settings is you can have overlays that are just solid colors, or you can have gradients, or you can use a image actually as an overlay. And in this case, that's exactly what we're going to do. So under the background overlay settings, we're going to go ahead and add an image. So click on select image, and I will have these images available for you in a link in the description below in case you're trying to follow along with this tutorial and replicate this page. So I have this image right here. I'm going to select that one and add it to that background. And the settings for this, the settings that we want for this is we want our focus for the image to be at the very top here. So 50 and 0. And then we want it to be a contain, right? So we don't want it to be cover, which typically is the default. It sets it to cover where it covers the entire section. I actually just want this to be contained and focused at the top. And the background is going to be no repeat, and the background image attachment will be scroll. Okay. And then the overlay for this, the overlay opacity, meaning how visible it is within the row, we want to change this. So I'm going to reduce this to about 6. Okay, so it looks very, very subtle. You can still see it, but it's not overpowering the page in any way. Okay, all right, and so far this looks really good. So let's go ahead and take a look at it on the front end. View the page. That looks great. All right, awesome. Next, we're going to go ahead and style the countdown timer. Styling the countdown timer is actually very easy. We just want to style it so that it stands out from the page because it's something you want to draw people's eyes to create that sense of urgency. So we're going to go ahead and go back, click on edit page, and then we're going to select our countdown timer. And then over here on the right are all the settings for the countdown timer. And the setting that we want to deal with is going to be the count item settings. So that's the items within the countdown timer. And for those items, we're going to go ahead and add a background to the timer itself. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to click on the white color. And then for the border color, I want that to be our highlight color. So that's going to be this orange color here. And we're going to just give it a border on the bottom of 8 pixels. Okay. And immediately you can already see, you're going to notice that timer wait you get to the page. All right. And then the other thing that we want to do here is for the border radius, we're going to make this 4. And for the padding, we want some padding around all that text so that's not so close to the edges here. So we're going to give it a padding of 15 pixels. Okay. And that's really all we need to do to style our countdown timer. It is now visible, it stands out from the page, and it looks great. Next, we're going to go ahead and style our content area. And what we want to do is we just want this content area to match the overall theme of the site, which is kind of this light beige and the orange highlights. Okay, so the first thing we want to style, of course, is going to be our donate button. And then these info boxes will also need to be styled as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So for the donate button, I'm going to go ahead and select the button itself. And I'm going to move over here to the right, open up the button settings. Now, there's a really simple way to be able to style the button so that all your buttons are uniform. If you see over here where it has the button inherit styles, there's a default, which is what you're looking at here. It's kind of like this see-through button, and then it turns solid when you hover over it. You can actually, from here, go ahead and customize all the color settings and customize it to your liking. But if you already have your color palette already set up, so if we already have our color palette already set up, these two accent colors are also the button colors by default. Okay, so these will be called the theme colors for accents. So I can just save myself some time by clicking on the theme inherit styles, and automatically my button will adopt the styles for my theme, which is coming from my color palette. Okay, so see how that already is designed. So I don't need to do anything more with this. All I need to do is just find the next button and go ahead and replicate that process. So select the button, go to the button settings, and then just under the button inherit styles, go ahead and just click the theme. Okay, and even from here, you can still style it some more if you want to, but this is sufficient for what we want to do. Okay, up next, we're going to go ahead and style the info boxes. To style these, we want to add a border to it. We want to remove this gray color, and we want to highlight the icons and the dollar amount. So these info boxes are meant to be benefit blurbs, meaning if whatever you donate, there's a corresponding benefit to that. So that's what this is highlighting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first info box. Okay, and I want to first eliminate the background color. So I'm going to move over to the right here, scroll down to the container settings, open it up, and then the container background, go ahead and click on the color. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to zero out the alpha right there. Okay, so once you make it 0, it now removes that background. One thing to remember, if you do it for the background here, we also want to do it for the hover state. So select the hover state tab, click on the background, and then go ahead and zero out the alpha right there. Okay, and this way when you hover over it, it doesn't show a different background. Right. The next thing that we want to do here is the container border. So we do want to add a border to it so that it stands out from the rest of the content. So the container border, I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to use our highlight color again, which is the accent color. All right, and we also need to make sure that the border does show up. So even though we've selected this color, we want to make sure that the border does show up. So to make that happen, up here in the container settings where it says container border width, we're going to add a border width of 5 pixels. Actually, let's go ahead and make that a little thicker. So I'm going to make it 8 pixels. All right, that looks great. Okay, so now we need to make sure that on the hover state that it also says stands, because this isn't meant to click to go anywhere. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down, click over to the hover state for where the colors are, and we're going to make sure that the hover border is the same color as the normal state. Okay, all right, and now we can see there's no behavior happening there. Okay, that looks great. Then the next thing that we want to do, I want to add a little shadow around this here so that it kind of stands out from the page. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and we're going to look for the under the border settings. I'm sorry, not the border settings. There's actually a container shadow settings. So down here, right underneath the learn more settings, we're going to click on the container shadow and we're just going to enable this shadow. And there's a very subtle shadow there. We can't really see it, but it's there. And what we want to do is we want to increase the blur of it a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here, make sure that this is selected. And over here, we can increase the blur so you can kind of see that right there. All right, so we'll go to about 14. And then I'm going to select the shadow color. And what I want to do here is I want to reduce how harsh it is. So we're going to grab the toggle here and we're just going to keep bringing it down into transparency until it's just enough to lift that section off the page. Okay, so that looks great. So it's at 38. Let's go ahead and just make it 40 on the alpha. Whoops. 40. Okay, and now we are all set there. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we also want to add some color to the icon. Okay, so the icon settings here are under the media settings. So I'm going to open up the media settings and we're going to scroll down, look for the icon color. We're going to click on it, and this time we're going to use our alternate accent color, okay, which is the reddish color there, right? And we are done with styling that info box. Okay, so we added all the styling that we want. Looks really nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to style all the other ones, and we're going to do this very, very quickly. And the reason it's going to be very quick is we're just going to copy the styles from here and copy them onto the other ones. Now, actually, our media here, under the media settings, let's also remember to go to the hover state and also change the icon color there to our accent. Okay, that way when we hover, we don't see any behavior. Great. All right, so now all we need to do is just copy the styles and apply it to all the other info boxes. So to do that, select that first one that we've already styled, and then this icon right here is the copy paste styles icon. Go ahead and click on it, click on copy styles, then select the next info box, click on the copy paste styles icon again and click on paste styles, and it will adopt the styles that we had in the first info box. And then we're just going to repeat that process. And just like that, in no time, we now have our styled info box sections. And that will conclude the styling of the content area. Let's go ahead and save our work by clicking on update. And when we view the page, we can now see that our donation landing page is looking really good. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to do here is we need to make sure that our give form also matches the color palette. So there's a couple things we need to do here. We need to change this image to an image of a tiger, and we need to change this color as well to match the accent color that we have over here. Okay, so to be able to do that, we're going to go back into our dashboard, access the form, and go ahead and style the form. Okay, to style the form, we're going to go back to the dashboard, go to donations, click on all forms. And you know what? Instead of us styling an existing form, let's go ahead and create a dedicated form just for the tiger donations. So I'm going to click on add form. So click on add form button here. And then we're going to title this one Coco the Tiger Donations. Okay. The template that we're going to use is the multi-step form template. So click on activate for that one. And then we're going to go ahead and add our color, because right now this is the default color, this green color. We want it to be the orange highlight color that we currently use. And that color is actually DD6B20. We're going to leave this the way that it is. We're going to leave this the way that it is. And then everything else is actually just fine. I mean, when it's your own specific donation campaign or your own cause, then you can add more information here as well. Okay. But one thing that we do want to change, one thing that we do want to add is we want to add our tiger image, right? So if you scroll down here, you have the introduction. Scroll down over here where it says image under the first step. We're going to click on add or upload image, and we're going to add an image of the tiger. And everything here looks fine. On the thank you step, you can add another image if you want to. We're going to leave that one alone because there's going to be a default check mark that shows up. So we don't need to do anything there. All right, so far this looks good. Now we're done with the form template. Now we're going to go to the donation options. So go ahead and click on donation options. And here, this is actually going to be pretty much set the way that we want it. We want it to be a multi-level donation. Custom amount is enabled, and then we have all these standard donation levels that go from $10 to $250, and we're not going to add any more beyond that. Okay, the form fields are fine. Our donation goal, though, we do want to have a donation goal, so we're going to go ahead and enable that. And the donation goal is going to be, let's make it $20,000. Okay, and then the progress bar color has to match our color as well, our color palette. So if you remember, that was DD6B20. Okay, and everything else is great. Everything else looks good. All right, so we're going to leave that as is. Terms and conditions, we're going to leave alone. Offline donations, email notifications, all this is fine. So just go ahead and click on publish. And what you can do is you can actually copy the short code from here and add to the page, but we're not going to use a short code. We're just going to use the block, the give block directly in the page. So I'm going to go back to our donation page, and I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to go ahead and select the give donation form block that we already have here. And I'm going to click on change donation form in the settings here. And then we'll get a chance to be able to select our Coco the Tiger donations. Good. And now we have the right corresponding form, and it has all the nice matching colors. Let's go ahead and update. And when we view the page, there it is. Go through this, make sure that all the colors match, and they all do. So everything looks great here. All right. And with that, that will conclude the styling of the page. Up next, what we're going to do next is we're going to create an alternate version of this. Okay. Just for fun, just so you can just see how to create an alternate version that has some different behaviors, although the behaviors will be similar. So in this one right here, we've got the sticky section right here where the form kind of stays in place as you read the content. We're going to create that other one that looks like this, where you have the donation form here on the right and the image, nice image here of the tiger in the background, but the image kind of floats on top of the website like that and crosses multiple sections. I'm going to show you how to create this effect. Okay, so let's go back to our site, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create a new page. So click on new page. You can do that from the admin toolbar, or if you prefer, you can just go to the dashboard, go to pages, click on add new. And this page, we're going to call it Coco Donation Page Alt. Okay. And then what we want to do now is configure the page. So I'm going to come over here to the page settings, click on the page settings icon, and under the page title, we're going to disable that. For the page layout, you're going to click on full width. For the content style, we want this to be unboxed. And for the content vertical padding, we're going to disable that. Okay. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start adding our blocks and content for the page. So click on the WordPress block inserter here, and we're going to select a row layout, drag it onto the page. And what we want is a 2-column row layout. All right. Once you have the row layout in place, move over here to the right, select the cogwheel, make sure that that row layout is selected. Select the cogwheel so that you can see the settings for the row layout. Scroll down to the structure settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a minimum height to this. That height is going to be 800 pixels. All right. And then we're also going to set the content max width to inherit from the theme. So it goes ahead and centers those columns for us right there. Okay. And so now when we click into the row, you can kind of see how tall the row is. And you can see that the content or the columns are aligned to the top. We're going to change this alignment to be aligned to the middle. So over here in the mini menu over here, we're going to go ahead and select the vertical align option, and we want that to align into the middle. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our our graphic or our background to it, background image. So select the row, move over to the right, go to the background settings, click on select image, and we're going to use this image of the tiger. Go ahead and insert it in there. All right, that looks good. Then we're going to add an overlay to this. So click on the row, scroll down on the right hand side here, the background overlay settings, and we're going to add a dark color. So let's add the darkest one, the strongest one we have, which is that one. And we're going to increase this just by a little bit. Let's go about 45. Okay, now that looks good. Next, we need to add our text into this section right here. So we're going to go ahead and click on the plus sign, select the advanced text from the Kadence blocks, and we're going to change the color of this text to white. So over here in the mini menu, I'm going to go ahead and select the color, and I want a white color for this one. And then we also want the size to be a little bit larger than this. So I'm going to go over here to the typography settings, and I'm going to set the font size to 55. And I want the height to be 61. And now we can go ahead and add our text. Okay, there's our text. And then we're going to also add a button to this. So I'm just going to hit the enter key from here, which will give me a new block line. And I can do a /, and there's already the advanced button from Kadence in one of the options from this menu. So I'm going to select that. And then the button's going to say donate now. And so we can see what we're typing. We're going to go ahead and configure this button and style it. So I'm going to select the button, move over to the right, open up the button settings, and we're going to inherit the styles from the theme, which will give us our accent colors immediately on the button. Then I'm going to go ahead and align this button to the left. So far that looks really good. Okay, so now we have our featured area set up. Let's go ahead and take a look at it on the front end to make sure that everything looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and save my work by clicking on publish. I'm going to click on view page, and here it is. So far this looks really good. Now one thing that I want to do is I want to remove the header and I want to remove the footer. It's very easy to do. Click on edit page. We're going to go to the page settings, scroll all the way down, disable the header and disable the footer, and that will turn this into a focused landing page. Another thing that I want to do is I want to refocus where Coco the tiger is in this background image. So I'm going to select the row, select the cogwheel to switch over to the row settings, open up the background settings, and we're going to take this focus wheel and we're going to pull it all the way up. All right, so now we have her more inside of the container. Click on update, and then when we view this on the front end, you see now that looks pretty good. Okay, now up next, what we need to do now is we need to add our content and our form to this page. Okay, so let's create the second section of the page. We're going to go to edit page, and we're going to select that row. And what we're going to do, when you select the row, you're going to get this mini toolbar right here. Go ahead and click on the options, and we want to insert a row right after this one. So I'm going to click on insert after. It's going to give me a new block line. You can go ahead and do a / select the Kadence row layout, and in this case we want a 2-column row, and we're going to go ahead and select that row and just make some adjustments. I want the padding on the row to be 85 pixels on the top and 85 pixels on the bottom. It's going to give us some spacing between the two rows here. And then the other thing, I also want to set up the structure. So over here on the right hand side, scroll down, look for structure settings. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to set the content max width to match the theme. So that's going to center our columns there for us. And then we're going to drag this over to be about 60-40. Okay, so this is where our content will go, and this is where our form will go. Okay, the content's going to be pretty easy. Click on the plus sign, select the advanced text, and we're going to say Coco needs your help. And then we're going to grab some lorem ipsum text. Okay, right over here. This one's fine. And let's just grab a good chunk like that. Right, we'll go back. And on the next line, we're going to create a new block line and just paste our text in there. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the info boxes just like we did the last time. So to do that, I'm going to hit enter. We're just going to create a new block line for me. I'm going to do a /, and I'm going to create a new row layout. I want a 2-column row for this one, and I'm going to click inside of the first column, and I'm going to search for an info box. Info, there's the info box from Kadence. Select that one, and now we're going to go ahead and style this info box, but this time we're going to style it fully. Okay, so this is going to be our donor benefits. So we're going to say $25 for the first one. So we just say $25 donor, and these will be the benefits. And then select the info box over here on the right hand side. We're going to go ahead and start configuring this. We're going to go to the container settings, and I'm going to go ahead and change the background. So I want the background to be transparent. So I'm going to click on the container background, and in the alpha field here, I'm going to put a 0. It's going to 0 that out for me. Okay. Then I also want the container border. I want it to also have a border, but the border to match our accent color. So I'm going to select the container border and select our accent color there. The container border width up here at the top, we're going to set that to 8. And then we're also going to make sure to configure the hover part of this as well. So we're going to select the hover state, and the hover background is going to be transparent. So set the alpha to 0, and the hover border is going to match our accent color. Okay. Next, we need to take care of the icon. So scroll down, look for media settings, and then we're going to remove the icon that is there now, and we're going to search for a new icon. Just search for hand, and we want the hand with the heart, holding the heart. So select that one. And then we can also go ahead and just set up the colors right now. So the icon color will be red. All right, and that looks pretty much ready. The only thing that we need to do now is let's change this up a little bit by adding a little bit of a background to the container. So I know we zeroed it out before, but since this is going to be a white background, let's just change the color a little bit. So I'm going to go back up to the container background, select the normal state, click on the container background, and we'll use one of our beige colors here. So the second one. And then for the hover, we'll just do the same thing. Okay, now that looks good. The next thing we want to do is add a little shadow. So scroll down, go down to the container shadow. It will be under the Learn More settings. Click on that. We'll enable the shadow. We'll set the blur to 14. We'll select the shadow color, and we want that to be dark. So just select 0006 times. And then we'll reduce this. We'll bring this down to about 35. All right, we have a nice subtle shadow there. Okay, now that we've styled our, let's take care of that icon. So let's find the icon. The hover state for the icon for us, we're going to set that to be our second accent color. So there's no behavior when you hover over it. Okay. Awesome. So now that we've set this up, next what we need to do is we now need to duplicate this into 3 other ones. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on the options right over here, and you're going to click on copy block. Okay, then in the second column, just click inside of the column, select a paragraph block, and then using Command V or Control V if you're using a PC, go ahead and paste the block in there. And we'll change this to $50 donor. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the entire row, okay, just by clicking outside of it. If you have a hard time doing that, again, you can always use the list view to select the row. Okay, now that you have the row selected, we're going to click on the vertical ellipsis here for the options for that row, and we're going to duplicate the row. Okay, and next here, we're just going to go ahead and add, let's add $100, and this will be $250. Okay. And now we're done creating our section here. So the only thing that we need to do is we need to just add some more text. That'll give us the length that we need for this area. Okay, so I'm just go ahead and grab this text here. And I'm going to click on the last row, click on the vertical ellipsis, insert after, and I'll paste my text. And I might paste it just one more time so we have more text. Okay. So our section here is now set up. Next, we need to just add our form. So in the second column, click on the plus sign, and we have a give donation form already here ready for us. Just go ahead and select that. We're going to open up select form, and we want the Coco, the Tiger donations, and it's already configured for us. All right, and we're going to go ahead and click on update. And now let's view the page. All right, so when you view the page, we can see our donation form, our content, and everything looks wonderful. Now, we haven't set up the sticky settings yet. We're going to go ahead and do that next. So what we want to do is we want to make this section and the form here stick to the top of the browser as we scroll. So to do that, let's just go back to edit page, and we're going to select that section, which is right over here. Make sure you have the section selected. And then over here under the sticky settings, go ahead and toggle the make sticky toggle on. And we're going to do an offset of, let's do an offset of 20 pixels. Okay, that just means that it's going to have a 20 pixel gap between the top of the browser and the section. And let's go ahead and save this now. So click on update and view the page. And then as we start to scroll, you'll notice that the form sticks in place. Okay. All right, now we want to create that effect where the form actually is up here so that when someone's viewing the site on initial view, they immediately can see the form and they can go ahead and make a donation. And then if they decide to scroll and read the details of the fundraising, then the form will also stay in place. Okay, so to be able to do that, let's go ahead and click on edit page. Once again, we're going to select our section. Make sure it's the section that you have selected. If you have a hard time selecting the section, click on the list view and find that section in here. Then you can select it from here. Okay. In the section settings, what we're going to do is we're going to actually access the padding and margin. And we're going to give it a negative top margin, which is going to shift that section all the way up into this featured area. Okay. So we're going to come over here and we're going to do a negative 880. That's going to pull that section into this featured area. Let's go ahead and click on update. And then let's view the page. All right. So in viewing the page now, we can now see that we have our text over here. We have our section with the form over here on the right, and our content is on the left. So if we start to scroll, notice how the form stays in place and scrolls down, keep staying in view the entire time that the reader is reading the content. Right, and that's how we create that effect. Okay. Now, if you want to have more spacing between your form here, so if you think this is too close, that's very easy to do. Just go to edit page, select that row, move over here to the right, and go to structure settings, and we can increase this by, let's increase it by another 140. So let's make it 940 for the minimum height field, 940 pixels. Okay, so now you now notice that you have more space, and that allows us, that gives us about another 40 to 100 pixels that we can add here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that section again. Make sure I have the section selected. I can actually use my list view to go ahead and grab the section. And over here on the padding and margin, let's increase this. So let's go 950. All right, that looks good. Click on update. Let's close this, view the page, and we're in business. Okay, so scroll. That looks really good right there. I'm very happy with this. Okay. So now there is one thing that we need to take care of, and that is, how does this look on mobile? How is this going to operate on a mobile device? All right. So up next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and style this for our mobile devices. Okay, so let's make our landing page look great on mobile devices. The beautiful thing about Kadence is that mobile editing is actually very easy in Kadence to do. So, and you're going to see a perfect example of it right now as we go ahead and make our page mobile responsive. So the first thing we want to do though is we want to take a look and see how it actually looks on a mobile device. And a great way to do that is to go ahead and right click on the landing page, and in the menu that shows up, select inspect. Now I'm using the Chrome browser, so this is going to open up the Chrome developer tool for me. And right over here in the corner, you can click on this icon and it will toggle on the mobile views for this landing page. So I'm going to click on this, and immediately I'm taken to the iPad mini. So this is what it looks like on a tablet. Okay, so on the tablet, it's pretty close to what's happening on the desktop. However, because of the width of a tablet, our information looks very squished. So we can't leave it like that. We're going to have to make some changes here. And then I can go ahead and click on the dimensions drop down, and I can look at what it will look like on a cell phone or a mobile phone. So here's an iPhone 12 Pro as an example. And we can see over here that this text is really large. There's a huge space going on over here. And if we scroll down, everything else actually looks pretty good. So this doesn't look bad. But our form is overlapping the content and hiding the content. Okay, so we're going to need to fix that. Okay, all right. So this is going to be very easy to fix. Let's go ahead and do it right now. To begin the mobile editing, just go to Edit Page. And we're now in the editing interface. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a version of this for mobile devices. And then the parts that we can mobile optimize and keep in place, we will. And I explain what I mean. So over here, what we want to do is we want to create a situation where you're able to see this text in the mobile format, see the button, and see the image of the tiger as well. And then the button will link to the form. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is select our main row up here. And in the vertical ellipsis for the options that shows up for this row, go ahead and click on that. And then click on Insert Before. That's going to give us a new block line where we can add some blocks. And the block that we want to add here is going to be a row block. So you can just do a / look for the Kadence row layout, which is the one in blue here. Okay, so not this one, and click on it. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and select a 1-column row. Okay, now while that row is currently selected, we're going to move over to the right hand side and look for the background settings. Open it. Click on the background color option, and we're going to just give this a light background, maybe a little bit darker. Okay, yeah, we'll give it a background like that. Okay, and then the next thing that we want to do here, while we're still here on the right hand side, scroll down to the structure settings, open that, and let's go ahead and set the content max width to be inherited from the theme. That's going to go ahead and center that internal column there for us. Then we're going to add some text. Now we want to reflect the same exact text that we see here. We want that also to be in this column as well. So the easiest way to do that really is to just copy the text. So if you just highlight it and press Command C, you have now copied that text to your clipboard. Click on the plus sign in the row above and add a paragraph. Actually, add an advanced text, excuse me. So add an advanced text block and go ahead and paste by pressing Command V or Control V on your keyboard. Okay. So now we have that same text in here as well. Now we're going to go ahead and center this text. So just go ahead and click on the alignment icon, align text to the center. Now we also need a button. So we're going to go ahead and select this button. We're going to copy it. And then we're going to come to the very end of this sentence of the header text here and hit the Enter key to create a new block line. And then go ahead and press Command V or Control V on your keyboard to paste the button in place. And then we're also going to center this button by clicking on the alignment options and align text to the center. Okay, so now we have our new header for our mobile view. So what that means is this will be visible on mobile, and this will not be visible on mobile. So we want to go ahead and select that row on the right hand side, scroll down until you see visibility settings. Open up the visibility settings, and we're going to tell it to hide this row on the desktop. Also hide this row on tablet. We only want this row to show up on a mobile device. Okay. And then that means that this section here will not be visible on the mobile device. So we're going to click on that. We're going to move over to the right, scroll down to the visibility settings, and we're going to say hide this section over here on mobile. Okay. So now we've taken care of the text, the call to action text. Next, we need to take care of the image, right? So we've gone ahead and hidden this image so it won't be visible, meaning if I click on update now and I go view the page, okay, so this is our page. If I were to look at this on a mobile device like a cell phone, so right click, inspect, we're now looking at this on the mobile device. So we can now see that we've lost our image of the tiger, okay? So we want that image, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our editing, and we're going to go ahead and click on the featured area that contains the tiger background, and in the vertical ellipsis options, click on that and click a insert before to add a new block line. Then we're going to do a / and add another row. And we want the cadence row. This row is going to have one column, so we're going to select this one column. And for the background of this row, we're going to make the background of the row the tiger. So I'm going to come over here to the background settings on the right hand side, click on select image, grab the image of the tiger, add it, and then we're going to add some padding so that we can see the tiger when we look at it on the front end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select that row on the right hand side. Let's go ahead and drag the focus up to about the very top. And then in the padding and margin, we're going to add some padding and margin to this. So let's add a padding here of 150 pixels on the top and 150 pixels on the bottom. Okay. All right, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click on update. Now I only want this row to show up on a mobile device. So I'm going to go ahead and select that row, scroll down to the visibility settings for the row, and I'm going to say hide it on desktop and hide it on a tablet. We're going to click on update, and when we view the page and we go view it as it would look on a mobile device, so right click, inspect for the Chrome developer tool, here is the page now with our image in place. Okay, so everything so far looks good, very user friendly for people that are on mobile devices. The next thing that we need to do is we need to link this button to this form. We also need to set up this form so that it no longer overlaps the content. And then most likely we need to add an additional button in between all this content so that your user isn't just scrolling without the call to action in view for them. Okay, so what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to go ahead and go to the edit interface for this page. And what I want to do is I want to find this section that's containing our form here. To do that, just open up the list view. Okay, you can click on the form and it will go ahead and direct you to the closest section here that contains this form, and that's this section over here. Okay, so what I want to do at this section is I want for this section to no longer have that negative margin. So now that I've selected the section, on the right hand side, I'm going to open up the padding and margin options. We can see what it is for desktop. We're going to go ahead and shift this all the way to the mobile device. And we're going to give this one a margin of 20 pixels. That should take care of the form overlapping the content. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save my work by clicking Update. And then while I'm here, I'd like to make some changes to the buttons. Okay, so here's our button, and what we want to do with this button is we want, when you click this button, it takes you to that form, okay, to that section of the form. So what we're going to do is, on the left hand side with your list view open, go ahead and select the section that contains the form, and then all the way on the right hand side, scroll down, go to Advanced, and under the Advanced, in the HTML anchor, we're going to add an anchor called Coco Form. Okay. Update. And now we're going to go back to our button. We're going to click on it, and we're going to go to button settings. And what we want to do in the button settings, we want to do a hashtag Coco Form and save. Then the next thing we want to do here is we want to take this button and we want it to show up here as well. Okay. And it looks like we have we want it to show up. We can leave that one alone. We want it to show up here or somewhere to break up all this content without a call to action. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and exit out of the mobile view so that you're in desktop view. Scroll down, and we're going to go ahead and select this row. I'm going to click on the vertical ellipsis options for that row, and we're going to insert a block line after it. Then what you want to do from here is we're going to add a container. A good container to add here will be a section. So just do a / and start typing section, and then select the section. Now that we've done that, let's scroll back up and grab a button. So this button looks great. Go ahead and copy it by pressing Command C or Control C on your PC. And then we're going to come back to our section, click on the plus sign, click on paragraph, the paragraph block, and then go ahead and paste in the button by pressing Command V. All right, so now that we have done that, let's add the button again one more time. So I'm going to come up here to the initial intro text. I'm going to hit the Enter key, / I'm going to add a section, which is a container. And then I'm going to click on the plus sign here, add a paragraph, and then do a Command V or Control V if you're on a PC. And that will paste in the button again for us. Okay, so now we have the button in place. Let's go ahead and click on Update, view the page, and let's see how this looks on mobile now. So right click, inspect. You're now on the Chrome Developer Tool. If I click on Donate Now, it's going to take me right to the form. And if I'm reading about this tiger and getting all the details about the donation, well, I want to be able to see an option to donate should I have made a decision already. So here it is. There is the donating options right here. And clicking on any one of these will take you to the form. All right, so we see there that works. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is, this now looks great for mobile devices, but how does it look on a tablet? To check this out on a tablet, while we're in the Chrome Developer Tool, we're going to go ahead and select the dimensions here and open up the drop down, select the iPad mini, and that'll give us the best view for what this looks like on a tablet device. So when we look at it on a tablet device, we can see that the 2-column orientation is maintained on the tablet. However, it is making our content look very narrow. So we definitely don't want that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and configure this so that everything looks a lot better, so that everything looks a little bit more focused and everything is more of a one column orientation versus a two column. That way all the content has enough breathing room. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of that right now. So I'm going to close out of the Chrome developer tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit page, and we're going to scroll down, and let's just go ahead and grab one of these featured areas. So just click on one of the rows. When you click on that row, we're going to shift over to the right, and we want to select the tablet icon so that we're looking at the tablet viewport, but from the back end. Okay, so now that we're looking at this, we now know how we're going to be able to configure this. So this featured area here, I want this to be collapsed on itself so that everything is in one column. So that means that the tablet layout won't be a two column orientation. We'll just make it one column like this. So we're going to click on this tablet layout, and immediately we can see that our content is now end to end. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to click on the text, and I'm going to set the alignment for the text on tablet to be in the center. I'm also going to set the alignment for the button to also be in the center. So just select the button on the right hand side. Make sure you have this selected on the tablet view, and then go ahead and align the button to the center. Then next we need to deal with the bottom section here, which also has a two column orientation. So we're going to select that section. And then on the right hand side here, we're going to go ahead and click on the collapse to rows tablet layout. Okay. And now that sets us up very nicely here as well. Okay. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want our, so you can still see our form is overlapping the content over here as well. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to go ahead and open up our list view, open up that row layout there, and we're going to select that section, and then you're going to move over to the right, go to padding and margin, make sure you're in the tablet view, and we're going to set this margin to just 20 pixels. That's going to move it away from overlapping the content, and it should be down at the bottom. Okay, so there it is right there. Okay, now that we've made these changes, let's take a look and see how it looks on the front end. So go ahead and click on update, then go to view page and right click and inspect, so you can go into the Chrome developer tool. And now when we look at it on tablet, we can see that our content is right here. It's aligned to the very top only because we have a minimum height setting over here that we need to change, but that's fine for now. We just want to see how it looks so far. Okay, so far this looks pretty good. And we want to make sure our buttons still work, which they do. Okay, so now we just need to make sure that this area looks good. It would be much better if this text were down here towards the bottom. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of the Chrome developer tool. I'm going to click on edit page, and once again going to select that featured area. And on the right hand side over here I'm going to go to the structure settings, and I'm going to select the minimum height for the tablet. Now when you click on this, it isn't going to make any change here in the viewport, but just keep in mind that that's where you are. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put a 0 in that area. Okay, make sure you have the tablet option selected, so tablet view selected. We're going to go ahead and add a 0 there, and what that's going to do is it's going to collapse this entire section. So if I save this now and I view the page, right click, inspect to access the Chrome developer tool, if we look at it now, you can see it's collapsed the section around the content in the section. So now all I need to do is shift this text downwards so that now we'll be able to see the tiger in the background. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go ahead and close out of the Chrome developer tool, go to edit page, select our featured area, move over to the right, and we're going to select our tablet view. And so right over here, I'm going to select the text. I'm going to move over to the right hand side here, and I'll scroll down. I'm going to look for the text spacing settings. The margin on the top, when we are looking at it on a tablet, I'm going to set that margin to 250 pixels. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on update. And then let's view the page. Right click, inspect. And when we look at it, we can see now that this is in a very nice position. We see the tiger in a presentable way. If we scroll down, all our buttons are in place, our content is aligned correctly, and everything just looks great. Okay, so now we've taken care of our page for tablets, and we've also taken care of our page for mobile devices, for cell phone. And with that, that will conclude the mobile editing portion of our tutorial for the alternate landing page for our donation page. All right, now we only have a few more things that we need to do. One, we need to test and see if our donation form actually works. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a donation. So if I click on donate now, and let's say I want to donate $250, I'm also going to click on continue. I'm going to put in my name, okay, and we're going to leave it at as a test donation. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and click the donate now button to complete this donation. And here's our thank you. Okay, so great big thank you. I can share this on Facebook. I can share it on Twitter. Here are the donor details and the amount that I donated. Okay, now one thing that's really cool about GiveWP is every donor gets a donor dashboard. So remember when we installed GiveWP, it installed 3 additional pages for us. So let's go to one of those pages, and I want to show you what this looks like. So here is the donor dashboard that was installed here. If I go ahead and view this, it's going to show me all my donations. So here's me, here's the number of times I've made a donation, and here are the individual donations that I've made, and I get a receipt for each donation. So I can see that right here. It also sends an email to the donor as well. So donors can go ahead and track their donations. And this is kind of what separates GiveWP from the other donation tools out there, is that this is specifically designed to manage donations end to end. And remember, we're only using the free version of GiveWP. In this case, there's so many more other great features, such as recurring payments and form fields and so many other different things that's offered with the pro version. So I highly recommend that everyone check that out. Matter of fact, if you do want to check out the pro version of GiveWP, just go to CliftonWP.com and do a /give, just /give. This is an affiliate link, so anything you buy when you get to the website is going to give a small commission to the channel, and that will go to support the channel. And so thank you in advance for doing that. Of course, that is not a requirement. It doesn't add anything to your pricing. And what's great is that right now, as of this tutorial, there is a 40% off value that GiveWP is offering. And I believe this is for Black Friday. So if you click on get 40% off now, you'll be able to see the different pricing plans. Just take a look at these and evaluate these for yourself. They have the basic plan all the way up to the agency plan. And basically what you get is you get all the add-ons, all the payment gateways, and you have a license for 1 site or a license for 5 sites, depending on which one best suits your needs. And the add-ons are actually pretty cool. So there are add-ons for peer-to-peer fundraising, which is really nice. Also recurring donations. There's fee recovery, PDF receipts, funds and designations, and even text to give, and much, much more. So take a look at this and see if it's something that you can utilize either for yourself or for a client. And I highly recommend you get at least one or a couple of these add-ons, or you can pick up one of the bundles that they have to offer. Also, if you really liked really like the Kadence theme, one thing that's great about the tutorial that we just did is that the Kadence theme that we used was completely free, as well as Kadence blocks. So we used the free version of everything to design everything that you saw here. But Kadence also has a pro version that gives you a lot more features and a lot more blocks if you get the Kadence free blocks as well. And I believe Kadence is also offering a discount on their plans as of now for Black Friday. So if you haven't checked out Kadence, you can just go to CliftonWP.com/Kadence, and that'll take you right to the Kadence page where you can access the Black Friday sale, 40% off now through November 29th. Now, what's awesome about this is it's 40% off everything. So if you're thinking about getting the essential bundle or the full bundle or even the lifetime full bundle, which is the one I highly recommend, then you will get up to $200 off on the lifetime full bundle. And what this lifetime bundle actually gives you access to is all of the plugins and all of the tools that Kadence has in its suite, and exclusive access to all the future tools that they're going to create. And so this is an enormous value for the money. And if this is something you can afford, I highly recommend that you go for this deal. Okay, now if you only go for the full bundle, that's fine as well. You also get access to all of the tools as well. And then this renews every single year. So highly recommend that you jump on this offer while it lasts. $200 off is an amazing value for what Kadence has to offer. Kadence is probably one of the best suite of plugins for building websites that exist in the WordPress world today, especially if you are serious about using Gutenberg to build out pages. They have made it so easy, and they have made it in such a way that it is completely optimized, super fast, and very accessible. So I highly recommend it. Okay, and with that, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you gained a lot of value from this tutorial. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I release new videos such as this one. And if you like this tutorial, please go ahead and smash that like button. Also comment on the video and share this video with anyone that you think it would be helpful for. Would really appreciate that. Thank you very much for those of you who continue to support the channel. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much in advance for all your support, and I will see you all in the next video.